Hello and welcome to my studio. I'm Susan Giannantonio, and I want to tell you about something that happened to me that was really a surprise. A few weeks ago, I had an opportunity to show some work at the Watercolor Art Society Houston, and it was a show where I felt like I could try some new things. I mean, nothing ventured, nothing gained, but it was an opportunity for me to work big on canvas with mixed media. And I've had this thing brewing in my mind for quite a long time. I was thinking it would really be fun to get out a bunch of different tools and sort of scribble on some canvas and push it around with unusual tools and get some energy going and finish up with a piece that seemed to show some of that energy. I wanted to convey energy and a little bit of rawness. And so I'm going to take you through that journey. I'm going to show you my process and talk you through what I was thinking when I made this. The painting is back here. It has been purchased, much to my astonishment. I think this whole thing really astonished me, from the making of it to the winning of a second prize last month for this painting, and then to realize that the Watercolor Art Society was contacted with a buyer, so I'm going to be delivering this in the next few days. But in the meantime, I want to show you what my thought processes were, and I want to remind myself of what they were, because I want to catch a little bit of that magic again sometime soon when I have the opportunity to stand in front of a great big canvas and do some work. By the way, I want to show you how big this canvas is. I'm sitting right now pretty far from this, but watch. So it's 36 by 36, but it was in two separate pieces. I thought it would be fun to do a diptych with one piece smaller than the other, just a little bit, throw you off or create a surprise. So from the very beginning, there's a bit of a surprise before I even get started. But here I go, and I'm going to talk you through my process. Oh, and at the end, my tool segment, I'm going to show you how I put these two pieces together as a diptych, and I'll turn the piece around and show you how I used hardware to secure one piece to the other, which is not necessary, but for this show it was necessary because it had to be one piece. So together they make one piece the way they're hardwired together. So you'll see. Stay tuned. So here we go. What I want to do here is activate the surface. I'm using some crayon. This is wax. They're flat little paddles of color that I purchased by a lady who made crayons, and they are really fun to hold on to. They're made for children, but they work for me. And, oh, I was not expecting that to happen. No big deal. It's very easy to pick it up and put it back in place. You'll see that my panels, my gallery wrapped canvases, have these square pieces of wood that hold them up off of the ledge there so that I can draw and paint around the edges of the canvas. My dad made those. I've explained those in a previous video. So this is what I've been using, those paddles of crayon, waxy crayon. I'm trying to sort of activate the canvas, as so many non-objective painters do, and I'm using a variety of tools. This, you'll see in a minute, is a big fat piece of graphite. It's called a graphite stick. And the cool thing about the graphite stick is that when I add water to this, or when I'm painting over it, it will reconstitute. Here, I'm going to show it to you. It's a big clunky stick. It says 12B on it. And the fun thing about working this way is I'm putting down a bunch of different marks. Some will smear or reconstitute and some won't. Some will be painted out with paint and others will be allowed to shine through some transparent or translucent paint. This is a graphite stick as well, but that one won't move. It's like a pencil. And here we have the good old Caran d'Ache crayons. I happen to have some big clunky ones that I purchased in the Netherlands some years ago. They're wonderful to hold on to. They kind of remind me of woodies. They're big and fat, and they will reconstitute. So if I paint over them, it'll be fun to have some of their color move around a little bit. Here's another one of those Caran d'Ache crayons. So I put some orange down. I'm putting some of that pretty blue down. I want this painting, as you can see at the beginning of this video, I want this painting to be a lot more neutrals than I usually paint. At least to start out. I mean, this is my experiment. I'm going to try neutrals and see how that goes. And of course, if I don't like the neutrals, I can always go back and add color. Now, I don't know if you can see it or not, but that is the coolest applicator. I'm smearing some gesso on there, and I'm applying it with this thing that is like a spatula. I got this at Art Supply on Alameda in Houston. They have a whole bunch of different shapes of silicone applicators. And what I want to do is move some of those Caran d'Ache paints around and move some of that graphite and start to create some translucence so that the color is there but very subtle. So I'm toning down, starting to tone down some of those marks, and I like to move any paint or any mark for that matter around to the side of the canvas. So here you see me adding more and more gesso. The canvases had been pre-gessoed, but I'm using gesso here as a texture, and I can apply it with this wonderful spatula in a way that is a lot of fun. It's almost like frosting a cake or something using this tool, and I can scrape it back so that you can see the marks underneath it. You might ask me why I'm doing this. I'm just having fun. I'm just trying to see if I can create a variety of marks and smears and textures and get some energy. You know, I have energy going into this. I had some energetic marks to begin with. And you know, working with white is a really interesting thing to do. White as a neutral color, what it's doing is it's providing a variety of surfaces that I'm building onto this canvas. You can see I'm sort of smearing so that a hint of some of the color, the underneath color, is coming through. I'm adding more and more gesso, moving it around, scraping back so that you can see some of those marks. I'm just having fun. It's an intuitive process, and I want to cover most of those initial marks in some way, shape, or form, partly because the ones that are not permanent, such as the graphite and the Caran d'Ache, eventually I'll be varnishing this piece, and I want to make sure that anything that will reconstitute with water is sealed underneath either paint or gesso or varnish or something so that it doesn't smear unexpectedly. It will give me more control as I continue on through the piece. You can see here that I'm working around the bottom edge there, adding more and more and more gesso. I will go in and show you a tighter look at this, a closer look, in just a few minutes. So this is an underlayer. Joan Fullerton would call this the underpants of the painting. She's such a fun lady. I've taken a few workshops with her, and I'm about to take another one here in a couple of weeks. She's just so much fun to paint with. She helps one become liberated. So I couldn't wait to show you this. I am using squirt bottles. This particular color of paint is kind of a mauve, dusty, oh, what did they used to call this? Dusty rose color. It's very neutral, and I want to put some of this on both canvases. So I'm squirting it right out of the bottle. I mixed it in the bottle, and now I'm squirting it out of the bottle. And I have a plan for this. Just wait a minute until you see what I'm going to do. The gesso underneath is wet in areas, so I've got some wet dusty rose type of color, and now I am squirting black out of my squirt bottle. These are sort of ketchup bottles, and I'm using Nova color acrylic paint. It's a fluid acrylic, wonderful paint. I really enjoy it. So these marks that I'm squirting out are not going to stay there like they are. I have a plan. My tool here is a paper towel. And the idea behind this is I want some raw marks. I want to be surprised when I look at this canvas that I haven't made it all pretty. I've made some surprise marks on here, and today the paper towel is doing it for me. It's an interesting tool to move paint around with, and this is something I've had in mind for quite some time. It's hard to explain the why of working non-objectively. It's just that when I do this, I know that I can go back in. I could create a realistic portrait on top of this, because these paints are so forgiving. You can just build and build and build a painting. But sometimes it's fun just to see if I can create something that I like enough to leave it alone and not fix it and not pretty it up. So here we are. I'm showing you a big fat mop brush with some more white. I'm going in with some more white, moving that around. You heard my dog announcing that he wanted dinner, so my husband fed him. So I'm still moving some color that was the underlying color. I've added a few marks. I want some interest, but I want it to be subtle in this piece. I want to build it very gradually. So I'm using my white, my gesso, and a big fat mop brush. I'm sort of cleaning up the canvas and bringing it back to white around some of that big chunky raw place there. I'm cleaning up some of the white of the canvas because I don't want the whole canvas to be marked up. I want the canvas to be white in certain areas, which will bring attention to the marks that I leave behind. So I'm strategically removing some of the marks so that others will show up more prominently, working around the bottom of the canvas. And here we have the finished product. I have switched the small piece to the other side. I've tried different juxtapositions in different rooms with the app that I showed last week. I showed you how to use this app to set it in rooms. And here you have the final piece. I decided to put the small section on the right to display it. And let me turn it around so that you can see what I've done on the back. So this is the back of my painting. I have the small piece here and the large piece here, and it's wired like I always wire. This is interesting wire because it's got a plastic coat. I think I found a reel of this wire in the electronics section of a hardware store, and it's really nice because it doesn't cut my fingers when I lift a big painting like this, rather heavy painting, and it doesn't slice your finger like wire does. Anyway, so it is wired, but here's the thing that I think is worth sharing. I used these corners that I usually use to keep the canvas up off of my shelf unit here, and I screwed them into both sections, and I used 3 of these little squares. They're about 4 by 4 inches. I used 3 up here because I thought there would be a lot of tension pulling on the panels where the wire was, and then I added another one down at the bottom. And incidentally, something that I do is I write the name of the painting on the wood on the back, and this is called Big Questions. This is number 1, and Big Questions number 2. And the buyer can take this apart if they want to, and separate them if they want, or move them around. It's up to them. But something also that I do is I write that I varnished it, and I write what I varnished it with. In this case, I used a Minwax polyacrylic clear ultra flat varnish because I didn't want it to be shiny. And down here, I signed the painting on the back. So I want lots and lots of information on here should there ever be any question about how this piece was varnished, finished, who painted it, what the name of it was. Here I put the varnish information on this piece as well. So I got a little crazy doing this painting. It was certainly not something that I had done before. The process was so unusual. Different colors, very muted colors, etc., etc. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because I urge you to make a little list for yourself of some things that you are curious about that you might want to try. When you look at your tools, check and see if you might have some tools that you haven't used before, or think about using the ones that you have in a different way. Play with some of the mediums that you have. See what you can come up with. I went a little crazy and it paid off, so I look forward to doing it again. Thank you for joining me. I hope you will click like, because that's the only way that YouTube knows to share my videos with people who might otherwise not find me. You're helping me when you do that. And you can subscribe too, so you hear other videos that I make. And if you hit that little bell, you'll be notified by email when I post a new video. Hope to see you next Thursday, and thank you for joining me.